For the spring detailing season here in 2026, we have two brand new offerings when it comes to high performance pressure washers for the automotive detailing space. That of course is the brand new AR635 as well as the brand new Active 3.0. On paper, these things took the performance as well as the GPM and turned them up to 11, offering over 3 gallons per minute at roughly 1,000 PSI. Both of these units are incredible, especially at rinsing down your car. Both of these units offering exceptional build quality, overall performance, amazing rebuildability, as well as overall longevity. The biggest issue with both these units though, absolutely horrendous snow foam production. So that's why today we're going to be checking out the new AR F6 foam cannon, specifically made for these super high flow pressure washers, to see if this fixes all of our issues. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well, thank you all for being here and really excited to check this thing out. I know since SEMA of 2025, been really looking forward to getting my hands, hand in my particular case, on this unit to see how it actually performs, and hopefully today, fingers crossed, it's going to fix pretty much all the issues with our high flow pressure washers. Now, a couple of quick notes before we actually get into the video here. This will be a longer format video, nerd level 9000, like I like to do here on this channel, so that you guys can come out of this fully informed. If you have the attention span of a 3-year-old, what I'd recommend, click out of this video, go over to Instagram, pop up Extra Money Mobile Detail so you guys can see some serious snow foam production. Kidding, of course. And I will be chapterizing out this video so you guys can skip over the stuff you don't care about, skip directly to the stuff you do care about. Another quick note here, AR did send this to me completely free of charge to make a review with. I will be giving notes on this, whether this thing's great, whether this thing sucks, whether I'd like to see some things improved, or whether it's good as is. This is not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. If there's improvements needed, I will be saying so. All right, guys, so let's start off here going through the design, build quality, availability, pricing on the brand new foam cannon before we get into all the nerd level testing on this thing. So this is the F6 foam cannon from AR, and this is going to be available soon. I don't have an exact date for you. It sounds like there's actually 2 shipments coming from overseas. I believe these things are made in China, so as Matt Mormon would say, Chinesium over here. So it sounds like 250 of them are already here, probably going to distributors, and then we get another batch on a cargo ship coming roughly the first week of May. So hopefully, if these things are good, we'll have a few of them for you guys to pick up. And of course, I'll update the video description once those do become available and leave it linked in this video. As of currently, they are not on sale. Now, AR is suggesting their distributors retail these for $89.99, which is definitely on the more premium side of a foam cannon. So I'm hoping the build quality is backed to match that 90 bucks here. Also, performance matters here as well. I would kind of take a foam cannon that's not as well built, but has exceptional performance when it pertains to these high flow pressure washers. So first things first, I gotta say, very aesthetically pleasing foam cannon over here. Very similar to the AR design, very industrial, black and red, kind of the matte black and red MKBHD style here, fully stainless steel head on here. Importantly, MJJC styled, not exactly the same here, but very similar style to an MJJC. So first things first, really? Guys, this is a $90 brand new foam cannon. And again, AR is like seemingly this super premium brand. How are you putting stuff out like this? Guys, this is also a final production version. This is not a prototype. This is what you guys would get in the full box kit, orifices, and the foam cannon here. That's pretty sad. But let's pull this out because there is some good things going on here. So 1/4-inch stainless steel quick disconnect with an O-ring on it. I absolutely love these. Now the weird thing is, a lot of these foam cannons that are MJJC styled utilize a M22 fitting that you can just twist on by hand, and they go to a 1/4-inch quick disconnect. They have included this adapter, which I've never seen and understand why you would need on here. Basically goes from a 1/4-inch to an M22 here. So you would screw this on the back end of this, The funny thing with this, it doesn't come with the other side to actually quick disconnect this, nor can you actually change out the orifice with this installed, so you have to pull it off anyway. I'm not sure I understand why they put this in here whatsoever. It's nice that it's stainless steel, has a rubber O-ring on here. I'm cool with that, but yeah, just kind of weird. So again, stainless steel body looks really nice here. The detents up here on our dilution meter are 0, but very, very smooth on top of here. Plastics feel fine, nice ergonomic grip on it. The only thing I gotta say as well with the build quality, I'm a little disappointed. You almost have this like button style up here, and it doesn't line up perfect. This is kind of like Tesla build quality when they first came out. That's pretty sad for a $90 foam cannon. So let's continue moving on here to our actual foam adjustments that we have here. So you can go completely horizontal or vertical on this. Now there is no detents in this as well. It's very tight, which I am glad to see. A lot of other foam cannons out there, the MTM being one of them, these have a lot of slop in them, so it's very easy to get these twisted about and they're just kind of going everywhere. Absolutely hate that. These feel really nice. Now, especially on your foam pattern up and down to more narrow here, this also doesn't have detents, which I do kind of feel sad about because it's kind of nice to go on center and then 2 clicks to the right, 2 clicks to the left, whatever you like. But the great thing here, also very smooth throughout this and has some good weight behind it. So I don't think this is going to move around on you like some other foam cannons would. Now, the bottle here, very interesting. Yeah, that just sucks here, but fully matte black. On the back side here, we have our viewing window, which I think is actually done really, really well. It's my one issue with the Boss foam cannon back there. They've got numbers on the side. It is almost impossible to read how much solution you have in here. This makes it much, much easier, but again, you can't see how much actual solution you have from the front of it as easily as you could with that. But again, the weird thing here is very active styled bottle here. It almost looks identical to me. I'm curious to see if you could thread an active bottle on here. And the other note here that, man, this just feels really cheap is just putting stickers on here. Guys, we've got a Griot's Boss foam cannon on here. I'm not super big on labeling things, but if you're going to do it nicely. This is, I don't know how they exactly do this, but is not a sticker on here. This feels much more premium on the Griot's Boss foam cannon than just tossing a sticker on it and then they toss the AR sticker. Guys, that is going to be absolute mush and get scratched up and peel off. I'm pretty underwhelmed by that, to be totally honest. So let's move more into the bottle. This is my other negative on this. This is a twist style, which is something I really dislike about my Griot's Boss foam cannons. Much prefer the quick disconnects like you'd find on the Armored Detail Supply Drift, on the MJJC foam cannons, even on the MTM ones. I much prefer quick disconnect style, but pretty interesting there. So on the actual inside of this, we actually do have the ability to use a normal threaded 16-ounce bottle with the narrow neck on it. The important distinction here is this is a decent wide mouth. What I'm disappointed with though, we don't even have a rubber seal in here. So my assumption is you tip this thing over, it's probably going to drip out because this is plastic on plastic, but you do have your vent holes here, which is always important. And I'll be curious. We'll test that later on when we get into throwing some solution in these. The weighted tube on here, interestingly to me, or the dip tube on here with the stainless steel weighted ball feels very similar to the Armored Drift one. And the stainless steel ball here, huge opening on it. The one thing I've noticed with this pops off far too easy, folks. I have a feeling you get some solution going through this, especially alkaline pre-washes, acidic soaps, maybe even super lubricious. I don't know if that's a word. I'm going to leave it in. Why the heck not? Regular snow foam. I have a feeling this is going to be popping off all the time. So guys, I got to be honest, I'm a little underwhelmed with this foam cannon in terms of the build quality. I really expected AR. They're known for producing super premium stuff. This does not feel like it was made by AR for AR. This feels like they contracted a Chinese company and were like, we just need a foam cannon. And man, I hope the performance is a little better than that. Now, this also comes with 3 orifice sizes actually in it, a 1.3, a 1.5, and a 1.8, which concerns me a little bit. But let's get into diving into the weeds of foam cannon orifices and maybe why I'm not so worried about that big 1.8. All right, guys, so this is my little kit here full of all different styles, all different sizes of foam cannon orifices. Now, if you don't understand orifices, that is what goes actually in the back of this, and that plays a huge role in how much amps, how much current, how much foam production you have in your foam cannon. It's really important to get this dialed in. Now, I want to drive this point home a little bit about why this matters so much pertaining to these super high flow pressure washers up here. So these are the tips that actually came with our F6 foam cannon over here from AR. Now, importantly, I want to back this up a little bit because when the 635 launched, they recommended using a 1.7 millimeter orifice, which is what I have here in my hands. This is actually from MTM. This is made out of full stainless steel. And the important thing here is, guys, I want you to notice the design difference here. So number one, you can see on the ones that come with the AR Blue here, they have a very blunt nose here, where this is a conical nose on it. And importantly, the opening here on the bottom is much larger than it is here. Now, the interesting distinction is the opening or your orifice size up top here is much larger and then actually comes down a little bit, whereas this one is actually the opposite. Now, this was the first initial orifice that I actually tested with the 635, and I was completely underwhelmed. Again, remember, this is what they told everybody needed to have. That sent me on a scramble to find something else, try different foam cannons, try different soaps, try different orifices. What I found to work the best was using an MJJC 1.65 in a Griot's Boss foam cannon without metering tips in it. Now, importantly here, this is a very similar style to the MTM, which is very weird because going down 0.5 totally changed the foam production that this little guy made versus the MTM over here. Now, one important distinction here and note, this is made out of brass. This has only been in one of my foam cannons for about 2 months, and you can see the corrosion on here. It is pretty unimpressive. That's why I like to have stainless steel on as many things as we can possibly have for that anti-corrosion here. Now, again, the crazy thing is foam production insane here, really unimpressive here. The weird thing is with the Active 3.0, this is the actual official orifice that it comes with the 3.0. This 1.65 versus the MJJC 1.65 is 400 less PSI on the pressure washer than this one, which makes absolutely no sense. This has led us to understand a little bit more than rather just the size of the orifice. It's down to the actual design. Again, large hole here versus it gets smaller here versus smaller into larger here. And that plays a big role. What also plays a big role here, importantly, is actually the material that these are made out of. So you can see very different stainless steel here versus the active one versus the MJJC. This plays into how all of these foam cannons work, mixed with their draw ratios and all of that stuff. Now, in general, one of the big problems we're seeing with these machines and why I think we are having problems is these are kind of reaching the limitations of a dedicated 20 amp circuit up there, especially pertaining to foam cannons. They're fine rinsing with the 6.5 orifices that come in for rinsability, but once you try and crank these things down, you're getting way up there. And a lot of the times what we're looking for in an actual foam cannon is roughly about 1200 PSI minimum. And that is why I believe we are seeing such terrible foam with the 1.65 from Active only pulling 800 PSI. Because the water essentially is coming through here, going for your orifice, and it's creating a Venturi effect. And that is sucking up your solution here, putting it through the filters and out onto the vehicle. Your draw solution pertains to this, the orifice style, the material in there. So that's why it's really important. The last distinction here I want to make, which is really interesting, this little guy here, this 1.25, is actually from a Armor Drift foam cannon, which if you notice here is identical to these, just a different orifice size. So I'm very curious to see how this 1.8 will actually work in that Armor Drift foam cannon. So that's a little bit enough of nerd talk on what's going on here, but I thought it was important to include so you guys understand it's not just a 1.8 versus 1.8. They're going to react totally different here. So let's get these solutions filled up and let's get to testing this new F6 high flow foam cannon. So I've got an active 3.0 over here, which we're going to hook up. We've got the AR635. We're going to test all different dilution ratios on both of these with our two foam cannons here. Now I'm going to leave the Griot's Boss foam cannon in here with the 1.65 MJJC because I'm curious to see how it compares to the new F6 with that 1.8 millimeter orifice. Now this has been what I found to work best on my AR635 with a super concentrated soap, either something like Adams Mega Foam or DIY Detail Incredible Suds Type 2. These are both extremely concentrated soaps, which is why you're paying a little bit more for them. They are not cheap soaps compared to something like Meguiar's Shampoo Plus. And I know a lot of you out there like Gentle Snow Foam. I am just not a fan of this soap at all. You have to use so much of this solution to get any sort of great thick snow foam on there. And again, I'll say this right up front here. I am not the person who needs shaving cream style snow foam. Actually, I don't think it's even better at all for actually washing your car. I personally prefer a little bit on the runnier side, not quite as runny as we've been seeing from these high flow pressure washers, but again, we'll figure that out. So I'm gonna make up a solution of 1 ounce in a foam cannon for both of these, 2 ounces for both of these, 3 ounces for both of these. We're going to test them on both the 635 and the 3.0, compare them head to head, and hopefully see that this thing is an absolute beast. Now, I want to do a current draw test as well, just so you know. 122.3 is my voltage here at the shop, so commercial voltage here. And yeah, let's do a quick current draw test with both of these foam cannons with the respective 1.65, 1.8 millimeter orifice. F6 foam cannon here, 1.8 millimeter. So about 19.1 amps, seems pretty darn good there. Griot's Boss foam cannon, 1.65. 19.3. So again, it's crazy. The difference here, 1.65 again versus 1.8 millimeter orifice and only a 0.2 amp difference. That's why, again, I spent so much time on all those orifices. Let's head over to the car. All right, guys, I'll try and do my best here to get the same amount of snow foam on here. We'll compare the differences. We're going to start off here with 1 ounce. Always on the front door here, we're going to be using the AR foam cannon. On the back door, the Griot's foam cannon. Alrighty, can already tell you guys, huge difference on snow foam. You can audibly hear it as well. This over here on the AR, quite a bit runnier. This one over here has quite a bit more air. Now you can see the dimpling in the panel versus the kind of flat effect this has. Again, I wouldn't say this is incredible snow foam. At only 1 ounce, it's really not bad. That's the help of using a very concentrated soap here. But I think for most people, you'd be pretty disappointed getting snow foam like this. But again, very interesting distinctions here between the dimpling. You can tell this has a lot more air, where this feels like it has a little bit more water. But overall foam doesn't feel necessarily hugely different. And again, there's going to be some discrepancies in how much foam I apply, slight bit on the spray pattern. I'm trying to keep them as close as possible. Pretty interesting results here. Let's move on to 2 ounces. 2 ounce test, or 60 milliliters of snow foam. Let's see how this does. All right, guys, well, we're getting into the point where we're getting quite a bit of snow foam here, not quite shaving cream style. What you can see though, lots of air in both of these. Arguably, I would say they look darn near identical. I see really no difference in this. Again, very different on the orifice size here, but starting to see this run down a little bit. I'm curious, do you guys accept this as pretty decent snow foam? Is this still too runny for you? As you can see, quite a bit of these areas definitely starting to pull off the panel. That's not a bad thing in my impression at all, but definitely not the thickest stuff out there, but getting to the point of looking pretty decent, I would say. Just a quick note as well, this has been sitting on there for about a minute or so. you can start to see how thin this is. So it's still quite clinging, which is pretty good. And all the surface, anytime we're doing this, we're leaving the car wet first, like we would do after we've done our initial pre-wash on it. Pretty interesting. I really see zero distinction between the two of these. They almost seem identical to me. On to 3 ounces. We got some snow foam, folks. All right, guys, and yet again, little to no distinctions here between the AR and the Griot's Boss foam cannon. I would say they look pretty much identical. This is something you can absolutely start stacking snow foam on top of each other. Again, just very different how these are. They're a little bit more aerated. You can really hear it on the Griot's, but impressively side by side here, I see largely no difference in between them. I'm going to grab the foam cannon back over here on the AR. I want to see how we can kind of stack this up on top of itself. Not that this does any benefit, but just interesting to show. Yeah, that's some really thick snow foam there, folks, on a 3 gallon per minute pressure washer. So if you've been wanting thick snow foam, we've got it here. And we'll try it on the Griot's. Guys, I see no difference between the two foam cannons here, at least on the AR635. And again, just crazy how different this is, being a 1.8 millimeter orifice, quote unquote, versus a 1.65, quote unquote, and only 0.2 amp difference in terms of current draw. So that is our test here for the AR635. Let's crack open the Active 3.0. We'll do that same exact test and see how we're looking. All right, guys, we've now got the Active 3.0 hooked up, and I want to do a quick little test on the foam cannons here with their respective orifices to see what our current draw is. Again, remember, we need to stay under 20 amps. So pulling 18.5 amps on the AR F6 foam cannon here, which is notably less than you're actually pulling on the AR635. Pretty interesting. Now with the Griot's foam cannon with the 1.65 inside of here, let's see what it pulls. $18.73. So again, 0.2 difference there. Pretty interesting stuff going on here with the foam cannons. Let's head over to the car and see what kind of snow foam we can get out of these two foam cannons with the 3.0. All right, guys. Next, we're going to check out the Active 3.0 with 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce respectively with both the foam cannons. Nothing has changed here, so just going to turn this on and let's see our foam production. Pretty watery right off the bat, of course, with only 1 ounce. So I would say, actually, funny enough, pretty similar at really low dilution rate, at least for these foam cannons and this amount of water flow. You can see over here, very runny, very wet snow foam on the AR foam cannon with the 3.0. Over here, got quite a bit of that dimpling, and now you're starting to see it start to sheet, pull that dirt and grime off like you would with a little bit runnier snow foam. Again, pretty miserable snow foam here, but just very, very interesting. I am not seeing a huge distinction between the difference of these other than at these lower dilution ratios. Moving on now to 2 ounces in our foam cannons with our Active 3.0. Let's hope for a little bit better snow foam. For sure. Wow. Big difference between 1 ounce and 2 ounce. All right, guys, what do you think? Again, I think once we move into this 2 ounce, the difference between these foam cannons, man, we are really splitting hairs here. Again, I kind of expected this to be like groundbreaking, revolutionary. I truly think, you know, all this stuff we're going through with foam cannons, yes, the foam cannon's important. Yes, the orifice is important. I almost think one of the most important parts is actually your snow foam or your concentrated snow foam you're using in there. At only 2 ounces, I would say this looks pretty good, and then it starts to break apart. You can really tell how much air and all these small little bubbles this has in it, and it gets really, man, I'm trying to describe the word. I don't know. You guys can see it and see what it looks like. After this starts to dwell off the surface, it looks very thin, I guess would be the best way to say this. So not super tight bubbles, but small with quite a bit more air in it, I guess would be the case to say. But again, noticing here with the 3.0, I'm not seeing a huge distinction between these two foam cannons, and same goes for the AR635. Last test here, let's go up to 3 ounces with the active 3.0. Guys, that's some pretty dry snow foam there. Arguably too much, I would say. So this test has showcased to me I might need to still play with my dilutions a little bit. I personally think this is a little bit too much snow foam, because what you're seeing here, again, you've got a lot of those bigger style bubbles instead of that shaving cream that is really, really fine bubbles on here. But when you are like doing just too much, you know, going over sections multiple times, it is really just dropping that off. But again, this is still impressive with how sticky this snow foam is. And this will just sit here. Again, to me, it just very much looks thin. It kind of looks like the top of my head, how I've been balding over time. And yeah, it just doesn't have that super rich thickness. But I personally think the problems with these are not really that big of a problem, in my personal opinion. This is 100% usable snow foam. And again, you get the unbelievable rinseability of these impressive units. So again, we've got the 3.0 here. I've got the proper tip in. It's just insane how you can rinse these panels down. Like, insane. It's really pretty impressive. So let me get this rinsed off. Let me kind of clean up everything here. I'll give you my final thoughts on the foam cannon because we've developed an issue. Okay, I want to include one last test here, and that is using a very unconcentrated soap, something like Koch Chemie Gentle Snow Foam here. This is one of the most overrated car shampoos on the detailing market. Everybody says this is the best stuff ever. Let me show you what happens when you actually use unconcentrated soap in a big boy pressure washer. So this is 3 ounces of Gentle Snow Foam in a foam cannon, and I'll spray the other side with our incredible suds. Wow, so impressive, isn't it? That's why you're paying all this money for Gentle Snow Foam. Identical foam cannons, identical orifices here, the same exact dilution ratio. Which are you guys going to spend your money on? I think it's pretty darn clear. Guys, this is why I tell you to test things and not just take everybody's word for you that's trying to push and sell products. That type of stuff is absolutely ridiculous, and you wonder why you're getting bad snow foam on a big boy pressure washer. Well, a lot of the times it's really down to the snow foam you're actually using in the bottle. All right, guys, I want to quickly show you this problem up close of what I've been having with the foam cannon here. So I've been using it, taking it on and off, you know, a couple times to do this little test for you guys. We have developed an issue. The entire base is loose. I don't know if you can see this. It's just completely coming loose there. I mean, if this isn't Chinesium for you, sorry to steal Matt's words here, but what an absolute shame. I mean, I guess that probably just needs to get tightened, but like after literally 1 or 2 uses, why is that the case? That, again, $90 foam cannon here, all of the other issues, gotta say, guys, I'm pretty underwhelmed. So I also want to do the bottle flip test, just see what this does, but look how loose this thing is. Like, are you guys kidding me? That is absolutely embarrassing. So let's see how this does upside down. Literally leaking. Absolutely. What are we doing here? This is absolutely an embarrassing display for a company that makes one hell of a pressure washer up there. This, no bueno, folks, no freaking bueno. All right, guys, let's finish this video up and give you some final thoughts. I mean, I think at this point, if you've watched this whole video, I think you're gonna know what I'm gonna say. I would absolutely not recommend you buy this foam cannon whatsoever. I'm really, really disappointed with the build quality overall. This whole rattly bottle situation, the fact that the head is completely loose now, the fact that I don't think the dip tube's gonna stay on there, the fact that the top of this doesn't feel that great and isn't aligned properly and stuff like that. And if you're asking people to spend $90 on this, and also those same people who just dropped $1,400 on a pressure washer of yours, I think you need to do a little bit better job. I think this is just the case of sent it to the wrong manufacturer, somebody told you I don't know, because again, I do kind of have this feeling there is a little bit of a need for foam cannons optimized for high flow units like these, but I also think we showcased that this one that is quote unquote made for high flow machines doesn't actually get you any performance difference. Again, I've been really impressed with my Griot's Garage Boss foam cannon. This is not a perfect foam cannon. I would say for myself, it's good, it's not great. I like the output of it. I love the build quality of this. Some of the ergonomics, some of the quick disconnects on it, some of the way the screws on the actual bottle, things like that, I don't absolutely love. But in general, I think this is a much better option. And you guys can clearly see that because I spent $300 of my own money to get 3 of these foam cannons to use here for my professional detail shop. So at the end of the day, I would highly suggest you do not pick one of these up. It is extremely underwhelming. No difference when you can pick something like this up with way better build quality, has been in the market for quite some time, still produces great snow foam. I think the biggest takeaway for me here is the orifice size necessarily doesn't matter. You need to test it and you need to figure that out on your own. Everybody's gonna have different voltage. Everybody's going to have slightly different TDS in their water, whether you have super hard water, pretty soft water, that's going to change the amount of snow foam you're using. I think in general, what I'd recommend you do, pick up a high quality foam cannon, something like the Griot's Garage Boss foam cannon, even something like the ADS Drift foam cannon produces essentially the same amount of snow foam as this from my actual testing. I would rather see you guys spend a little bit more money on a better concentrated soap instead of paying for stuff like this that is literally full of hype and a ton of water. Again, these two products go in the same category for me of just super underwhelming, and yeah, they look pretty, but don't actually perform. So my recommendation, don't buy this, and I think I've got the high flow pressure washer foam cannon issues solved. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.